Hello, and thank you for coming back around to us right here at the UKW 356. I'm your host, Bob Phillips here, and we sure do appreciate you making this podcast number one. We appreciate that so much. We've had a lot of listeners, especially overseas, and I want to say a special hi to those that are listening in Germany at this moment, listening to the podcast. We appreciate that. Thank you so much for making us part of your day. We appreciate that very much. Um, Today's podcast is featuring some special guest. I remember last week we had talked about how can we become wealthy in areas of our life, and I announced the earlier part that we were going to have a special guest. And today's podcast we do. I have a young gentleman here. His name is Cade Booth. He is famous on the internet, no doubt about it. He is on YouTube, and he got his own podcast called the RealFake Podcast. He's also on TikTok and several other platforms, and has really exploded in growth. He has a lot of listeners and a lot of people watching him on YouTube, and we'll give you that information. I will definitely let him give you that information there to let you know how you can get in touch with him. And we got the privilege to have him here in the booth right here. And so, Kate, great to have you here. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, sir.
All right. So, real quickly, just tell me what you're doing. I know you said you were on YouTube and all this stuff. So, tell me just real quickly about what's going on with you.
Right. So, I'll start with just a very, very short story of how this came about is back when last year I graduated school. I wanted to graduate and kind of live life, right? And when I first approached graduation date, everyone always asked me like, "Oh, you're going to college, right? You're doing this. You're going to college. You're going to do all this." And like, I'm not saying college is bad, but with that being said, it wasn't in my plans. But I always told everyone, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go to college. Yeah, I'm going to do this," because I wasn't confident enough to say no, to tell them that no, that's not what I want to do. I want to do something else. I want to start a business. I want to bootstrap and see where I can go with that. I wasn't confident enough to say that, so I never did. And it took me a little while, but at the end of the year, right around when graduation came, I started shocking people. I would tell them, no, I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to college. It's not in my plan right now. Do that later on in life, and that's not the direction I want to go. And I started telling people, and I got hooked and addicted to personal development, having self-confidence and stuff, because it really played in with that. It also played in with martial arts. I teach part-time at a dojo. It's really my passion. And so I started making content just because I wanted to express what I was feeling. I talk a lot, which is why the podcast is good, because I talk so much, right? So that's a good thing. So I do have the RealFake Podcast. We're doing great with that. Super excited, super hyped. We're nearing close to 700 streams now in just 30 weeks, and so I'm really hyped for that, and getting ready to look at getting some merch, maybe, seeing what goes on there. Have some good guests on there, and I just like to make content, and I like to express my thoughts. And I've got a partner in crime. His name's Matt, and I'll give his Insta later, and if everybody wants to follow him. But we have a lot of fun together, and that's really the goal. Is just to have fun and help somebody. If even just one person benefits from this stuff that I make, then it's a good day. Like, I've had people tell me that stuff that I've said has helped them. So, and advice that I've given people has helped them, and that's like the best feeling ever. Like that, that's the purpose.
And one of the things that amazes me is you haven't, I don't know how to say it, but you just started. Matter of fact, you got me inspired to do this as well. And you just started, and when you started, you just kind of exploded. You just took off like like a race car. You really did. And so it amazes me how you've really picked up in a short period of time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's what you put into it. I put zero thought into how many people look at my stuff. I never I don't look at followers. I don't look at like counts. I don't look at any of that stuff. I try very hard not to. Occasionally I will, but it's never good to focus on how many, right? Same thing. It always goes back to quantity over quality, right? I'm still not huge. I'm not, famous. I don't have millions of followers, but the people that do follow me, I try to help them the best I can, like to make stuff that's good, whether somebody laughs at it or whether it's something that benefits them, or if I'm feeling depressed one day and I make a video and someone, says like, yo, that helped me because I wasn't, feeling the best today, and I didn't cut because of that. That's the best thing ever.
That is.
Yeah.
And it's good to be able to do that to help someone, and that's what we're going to be doing for this podcast too. I've been sharing with Kate here about some things that we're going to discuss here for the next few moments. And one of the things that we were going to talk about today is having boundary stones. And so this is going to be a topic that's going to be interesting. We're going to be talking more about how we can develop things in our lives to help us be more successful. And that's what this podcast is about. The UKW standing for Understanding, Knowledge, and Wisdom. You can contact us here at the UKW 356. You can go to our website at bp2media.com. That's B as in boy, P as in Paul, the number 2, media.com. And you can go to the comments section and leave your comment or contact information, and or you can just look at our website. You can also go as well to our platform on Facebook at Bob Phillips Roman numeral 2. And we're going to be discussing how to have boundary stones in your life. Boundary stones in your life, that's what the topic is today. And we hope that maybe we can help you out here. And I know Kate is ready to rock and roll with this one, I believe.
I'm hyped, yeah.
All right. We'll be back shortly, so stick around. Welcome back to the UKW 356. I'm your host, Bob Phillips here. Along in the booth with me right now and I feel so privileged to have him here. It's awesome. I watch his videos all the time. Is Cade Booth. He's the host of the podcast entitled the RealFake podcast. Also is on YouTube and several other platforms. And I'm glad that he's here with us today. And I was really looking forward to this podcast. I really was excited about it very much. And thank you for coming in there. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely flattered. Thank you.
So, Kate, we're going to be talking about boundary stones. And the reason why I brought up this topic is because you and I both, in order for us to be successful in life, we have to set boundary stones. And people might be out there saying, well, what are they talking about? Well, we focus this podcast off of wisdom from the book of Proverbs, which is in the Bible. And Proverbs chapter 22, verses 28 states this: do not move on or move an ancient boundary stone that is set up by your ancestors. And basically what that is the fact that there have been boundaries set. And so what we're going to be discovering today is it wrong to set boundaries, or is it good to set boundaries? How can we be successful in our life, whether it's you being successful on YouTube, me being successful in the podcast, in all of these questions. And one of the questions that I was thinking about, and I ask you and see what you thought, is what boundary did your father set for you and he encouraged you not to move it? That boundary stone is set for you. What stone would you think?
Right. Okay. So a good boundary or a good lesson, I would say, that my dad taught me one time was one time when I remember, because we live right next to our grandparents, and we'd go over there every Friday. He'd pick up groceries for her and whatnot. And my dad always taught me a good boundary was that you don't ever ask for money, because grandparents, they're great. They always give you stuff, right? And my dad taught me sometimes that you don't just take stuff, right? It was a boundary that, in a manner of speaking, a boundary that you kind of have to work for what you get. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not gonna get anywhere from always just taking things. I know I said the exact same thing on my Instagram story. If anybody listens or watches that, I said the same exact thing. Is you're not going to get anywhere in life just from like by asking for handouts or by not working for whatever it is you want. Like you're not going to get it. And even if you do, it's not going to be of the same value if you had to work for it, you know? So that's the boundary. Even though it's a little different, it's not necessarily a moral boundary, but it's still super valuable to me because there are moral boundaries, but this one comes to mind because it's so valuable because my dad taught me to work for money, and he also showed me how to I guess hold on to it. I guess is what I mean. Like if somebody gives me $20, it doesn't have the same value as if I did 2 hours of work at $10 an hour. It's two different values there. If somebody gives it to you, then I'm more willing to just get rid of it because it doesn't have any value to me, right? The piece of paper, it's just paper, it's cotton paper. You know, the money, it's what's behind it that means something. So that's a boundary, I guess, that I've been thinking about recently. It kind of came up. That happened years ago. It happened, I was like 9 or 10. It had to be like, but it's a boundary that hasn't been moved because even now, I know what the value of money is. I'm able to work for it. And the boundary, going back to this, is the boundary is that I'm not going to go out and ask for handouts and ask for stuff because my dad made a line in the sand and said, hey, son, like, this is how you conduct yourself, right? You know? And those patterns that people set is what continues into habits, and that's what you live with the rest of your life, is the habits that you have.
I think the boundary set for me was the fact of respect for other people, no matter who they were. And I was taught that, you know, don't cross this boundary.
Right.
And I think that has been such a big player in my life that my father had set in motion. And so another thing that I was looking at is how does boundaries make us successful in life? What do you think of that? I know with me, it's really helped me be successful because I'm able to be a people person and show respect for everybody. That boundary has helped me out tremendously. What about you?
Right. So boundaries. What I will say is, I'll kind of start right back where I was with my dad and kind of branch off there. But those boundaries are, like I said, those habits that are formed or that my parents helped me form help me move through the rest of, I'll say the rest of my life. I'm only 18, but the rest of what I'm calling my life from that point where I was young up helped me form habits and help me form a pattern. That's what I'm looking for, is a pattern of how I'm going to do things, right? You know what I mean? And every time that you look at like if it's a habit that is an addictive habit, there's plenty we can say, you know, insert your own habit that you don't want to do. Every time that you want to break that habit, instead of just not doing it, what we do is we replace that habit, the bad one, with a better habit. My TikTok video, I mean, I'm sure people saw that, but like you can replace it with a better habit. That's how you get rid of the old one, right? So with that being said, every time you have a fork in the road between the bad one, whatever you think, and the good one, whatever that you're trying to substitute in, and you choose the good one, then that kind of lays another brick or stone or whatever you're building with in that direction of the path. And eventually this one is more traveled than the other choice. And that's what forms the habit of you going this way. And then eventually habit, you're doing it without realizing it because that's the way to go. And you realize that's how you're going to go, right? So I had to do that. The habit, when I mentioned in the intro, of telling people that I was going to college when I didn't actually plan to because I was scared of what they would think. That was a bad habit. So I had to stop doing that. But it wasn't enough to stop doing that and not answer them at all. What I had to do was replace that with, no, I'm not going because it's not the correct career choice for me yet. Not saying I never will, and I'm not saying college is bad just for all the people out there, but what I am saying is it wasn't right for me this year. Next year that might change, but right now that's not what I'm doing, and I needed to have enough confidence to stand up and be able to say that, right? You know, so it's not like a well, it is like it's a path that you travel. I will say that you kind of have to stay along that and kind of I keep making the curve motion for everyone that's listening on on video. That I'm making the curve is the one you travel. That's going to become the beaten path, right? That's the beaten path that you're going to follow, right? So and really quick, I'll add on to that even more is that goes along with thinking about what friends say. That's a good boundary. For me, is that my parents. Another one my parents said. I mean, like I said, there's so many, but is that my mom and dad always told me, especially my mom, was that if your friends ever want you to do something wrong or that you don't feel comfortable doing, just I don't care what you have to do, just get out of the situation. I don't care if there's certain situations I've been in where my parents had told me I was allowed to do something and I didn't feel like I was able to do it when I was younger, or I still have situations where I personally don't feel like I'm able to do it, but my parents are allowing me to do it and my friends want me to do it. And my mom, I remember a very specific conversation we had that was a boundary that was amazing because she told me, she says, I don't care what you tell them. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. You can tell them that I don't allow you to do it, even though you are. Tell them, blame it on me. Blame anything you want on me. That's what she told me. She said, blame anything that you want to blame on me. If you need to get out of something, blame it on me. Call me and I'll come get you. That was before my license. And that was something very good because and I know it doesn't sound like a boundary, but reading between the lines, the boundary is the line of she instilled in me that value of not crossing the line that I drew for myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I felt like I didn't want to watch something, or if I felt like I did, then I could blame it and I could do it or not do it because that was my line. And she said, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You follow your line and don't step over it.
Right, and I think like the next question that I had in mind too was the fact that is setting boundaries wrong? I mean, and no, it's not. I mean,
Right.
Sometimes I've had to set boundaries, especially with people in my lifetime that were just very detrimental to me.
Yep.
And
Toxic.
And toxic. And you might be out there listening right now and hearing this podcast, and you've got somebody that's toxic, and you haven't set a boundary on. You probably just letting them, come over in your side of the fence because you're afraid you're going to hurt their feelings, or you're afraid that the repercussions that may happen. But sometimes you have to take a stand sometimes and set that boundary and say, okay, you're toxic to me. I can't be successful in life or do something in life because you're going to hold me back. And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've experienced that more than I care to admit. I've been through a fair share of that. It's really hard to distance from people. And situation that I have dealt with in the past was people my age will identify with this probably, but for me, especially before I could drive, I was stuck with a group of friends because they were either the only people or the only ones that could hang out or the only ones that I was, especially if I wasn't driving, which, disrespect to my parents, it was just those people didn't mesh. But anyway, years ago. But it wasn't the right group. But because I didn't have anyone else, that's who I was friends with, right? I didn't have anybody else. And, I tell people, like, I saw a great thing. There's a guy named Jason Capital, and he does a really good job talking about stuff. He's a good role model of mine. And he said that he has maybe 3 close friends. 3 close friends. And the rest are associates or friends, but they're not, like, close friends. Because you don't need close friends. You just need a couple people that you can really count on that'll be there, right? And people will let you down. You know,
Ain't that the truth?
I mean, you can listen back on our episodes of of my podcast. Me and Matt, my brother Matthew, we have had discussions where he's like, you know, and it was on record. He expects me to let him down. I expect him to let me down because we're human. So people will let you down. You have got to have boundaries are necessary. The reason people think that boundaries are wrong in life is because they set stupid ones or boundaries that are unfounded. Mm-hmm. That's why people say they're, like, air quotes for everyone listening, wrong. Mm-hmm. Is because it's boundaries that are unfounded or so out the window they don't actually do anything. Or if a parent sets a boundary for a child and it completely misses what it was intended to do, then it's not wrong, it's just dumb. It just doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
I think it's important that when you do set boundaries, that you set reasonable boundaries.
Right.
I mean, there are a lot of people who set boundaries and expectations to the point that they want people to just, it's like a setup to fail. And
I see.
And you know, so basically what is so important is the fact that when you set a boundary, you and I both want to be successful in life. We want to do really well in life.
Right.
If we don't set a boundary and set that boundary up, and some of the times I had to set a boundary, especially like for time, or I've had people ask me, "Can you do this and do that?" And it's so easily feel guilty that you jump in to get this done or that done because somebody asked you to.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with setting a boundary and saying, I'm sorry, but I cannot because my time is limited, or I've got another obligation.
It's necessary,
and sometimes it's necessary.
It is. There's nothing wrong with saying no. Which I've talked to a lot of people about this issue because people get suckered into doing stuff they don't want to do. Churches are known for this. It's like, hey, can you run the soup kitchen for the next 3 weeks? Yeah, no problem. The lady never comes back, and you're running for 4 months.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like they're known for it. The thing is,
it's not that we don't love church, but,
no, yeah, exactly. But but the thing is, you have to be able to say no, because if you're not, then you're creating, just like I said before, everything in life is building blocks. You're creating another habit. You're creating yes. You're saying yes, and you don't feel like you feel obligated to say yes. You don't feel like you can say no, so you say yes that first time. And then the next thing, I've seen it happen. I've done it myself many times. Yes, yes, yes. And it creates this habit of, not that what they're asking you to do is bad, but it's bad for you because you can't do it well or you can't do it fully. If you can't do it fully, then it's a disservice anyway. You shouldn't even be doing it. And the thing is, if you can't say no, then you shouldn't be in a position where you have to make that choice, which is where boundaries come in. Mm-hmm. But also, I believe in saying no because what you allow, just like with the building blocks thing, I keep saying it over and over because it's so important. The patterns thing is what you allow is what's going to continue, and that's what I tell people. What you allow to happen is what will continue to happen.
And I think the important thing, and we want to challenge our listeners because I know we're running a little short on time, but I think one of the things that we wanted to challenge those that are listening to this podcast is, set your boundaries. Learn to say no, and don't get in the habit of overextending yourself to a point that you wear yourself slam out.
Yeah, and don't be stuck in ruts of doing stuff for people because you like the person, or you think they're hot, or you think that they have power over you, or whatever. Like you shouldn't be doing something for anyone other than you want to. If you feel obligated to do it, then probably shouldn't do it.
Right.
Minus work and responsibilities, that's something separate. But if someone's asking you to do something you just don't feel like doing it, but you say yes anyway, then that is detrimental to you because you don't have that confidence. Right. You value what they think more than what you think.
And sometimes too, we look at we don't have a good self-esteem.
Right.
We
Yeah.
feel like we've got to save the world, and I want to tell you, been there and done that several times, and so this is something that I've had to learn the hard way.
And the thing with saving the world is you're not going to be able to save anyone else without having yourself just solid.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to save, and you're not going to be able to help your cat if you're not set. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do anything if you don't have yourself straight.
Mm.
You just have to do it.
Well, tell us a little bit about your podcast, because I know we're running short on a few more minutes here, but tell us how we can get a hold to you, and how we can watch the YouTube videos and all that stuff. Just kind of give us an idea how we can get a hold to you.
Right. So the main hub of everything right now is podcast. It's RealFake Podcast. You can search Cade Booth for Real or the RealFake Podcast on Spotify, and it should come up. It's kind of orange with the door, and then white lettering says the RealFake Podcast. You can follow us there, listen to us there. We're on pretty much Anchor, Google Podcast, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. And me and Matt are on TikTok. My TikTok is at Empire Writer Builder. It's Empire Writer Builder. Twitter, Cade Booth. YouTube, Cade Booth. Rebel Reality TV. Me and Matt is at Matty_Phoenix172. You can follow us, DM us if you have anything. I love to meet new people. I love to just have conversations. So talk to me. I love if you're listening to this and you heard of me through this, then DM me, let me know, because I'd love to know and meet people. I meet tons of people all the time. And podcast, our podcast, just to give some background, is very unscripted. It's just the goal is just to have real conversations and make them valuable. So like they're not gibberish. They're not just dumb crap. The episodes are full of stuff that you can use, right? So it's real content. It's deep conversations. We have a lot of fun making them. YouTube videos, those are a little more less. The YouTube videos are less. How do you say? Professional. They're more just what me and Matt do on the weekends, clown around, hang out, do stupid crap.
And there was one episode I saw y'all were chasing trains or something like
that.
I was like, come on, you gotta be kidding me.
we do a lot of we have a lot of fun. We make a lot of content together. You can find on TikTok. We have a Rebel Reality TV TikTok too as well that we have some crazy videos on, so you guys can go hit us up there. Anyway.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I was looking forward to having you here in the booth here, and hopefully we can do some more future episodes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And because I know you got a busy schedule ahead of you this afternoon. My understanding, you got to go and get the podcast together and get the YouTube videos going. So I don't want to hold you too much there on that. And matter of fact, while we were recording this podcast, we're actually being videotaped on his video cam, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what we look like as we were talking.
Yeah. It'll be good. That'll be on my YouTube channel if anybody wants to see what his studio looks like. It's got a nice setup.
Yeah, it's a very interesting setup, and but hopefully it's going to be a little bit more elaborate as time goes on.
It's good setup.
Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you for coming and chatting for us.
Happy to.
Appreciate that very much. Well, this is going to wrap us up for this episode. And again, just want to encourage you to please check out the RealFake Podcast and on Spotify, and check out Cade there and see what he's up to. Very interesting topics and very good discussion, and I know you'll enjoy it very, very much. And don't forget also too, we're on the social media as well. You can also go to Twitter at Bob Phillips Roman numeral 2 and the number 1 behind it, or you can go to Instagram at Bob Phillips Roman numeral 2, and there you can see what's going on. And hopefully in the near future, I followed Cade's footsteps here. hopefully in the near future, I'll be on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff as soon as I'm capable. And so I'm looking forward to all of that as well. So it's great stuff. Awesome. So, but anyway, you guys have a great week. And I hope that you will be blessed. And also, just keep in mind, if you're in that situation again, and Cade will agree with you, agree with us here, that if you're in a situation that you haven't set a boundary in and it's getting to be overwhelming, maybe it's time to set one and get that boundary set up. That way you'll be a little bit more successful in life. Don't you agree?
I agree. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you later on. And until next time, may the Lord keep you and keep you safe. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.